Welcome back to Both Sides of the Barricade. I have a very, very special guest this week, Miss Kailee Morgue. I'm so excited to have her
Ooh.
on. We haven't talked in a bit. I'm excited to catch up, but Kailee is a newly independent singer-songwriter. She released her sophomore EP here in your bedroom earlier this year. It's amazing. Go listen to it if you haven't. And she's released 2 songs since then with her boyfriend Ricky himself, also very good. And she's featured in Billboard, MTV, Coupe de Maine, Ones to Watch, so many things. Kailee, do you have anything you'd like to say about yourself before we get started?
No, I thought this was gonna be, like, so boring, but you just actually, like, for people that like me, like, they're just like, "Here's another Kailee Morgue interview," but, like, I feel very flattered. This is gonna
Oh,
be great.
I'm so excited. Okay, so I guess we'll start with how we met. Would you like to tell that story?
Yeah. I think that was my 2nd show ever,
Yeah,
right?
I think it
Like,
was.
I was in New York or, where was that Brooklyn?
Mhm.
Yeah, and, I think it was you and Matt, is that his name?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, because
I
I
was there.
remember you guys, like, I saw you guys on social media, so I already kinda knew what was going on, and then we met, like, that was such a crowded space though, but I remember, like, immediately clicking with you guys, and I was like, "Oh my god," like but I obviously, like, when I'm meeting fans, it's like my personality is, like, on 100 because I'm, like, in fan mode, and, like
Yeah.
but it was really cool, but that had to be, like, 2 years ago now.
Yeah, it was 2018, like May, I think, of 2018. I remember being, like, nervous meeting you, and I was like, "That's weird," because like, I've been following you for a long time, and we had talked on social media before that, and I think I was just, like, nervous because I was like
Yeah.
it was a crowded space. It was Baby's All Right. I love that venue. It does get very crowded because it's super
Yeah.
small.
Like, the
Um,
stage looked so pretty, like,
yeah,
backstage was fun, but, like, I remember I think I was meeting fans, like, right by the merch table, and there was, like, a hallway amount of space for
yeah,
everybody,
it's really
so it was very
small.
hectic.
Yeah, because it's really like a bar that has, like, a
Yeah.
bar room, but I love it there. It's always such, like, a nice, like, intimate space, but yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
So, that was fun. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then we just kept up on social media, and here we are now. I wish that I had seen you more than that, but
I know. I've
COVID.
been wanting to go back over to the East Coast for a long, long time, but, like, when I got eventually toured, like, a year later, I only hopped on, like, Midwest to the West Coast, so I
Yeah,
was, like, really sad I got to miss out on the East Coast, but I need to go back over there.
I will be waiting. But yeah, like oh, and I do remember, like, I don't know if you know this, but I had been following you since, like, the Medusa viral Twitter video. Like, I that's how I discovered your music was through that video, and I had
I
been,
feel
like,
like I
sort of
remember seeing you on social media a lot because I feel
yeah,
like I already knew who you were. I knew who Matt was. Like I'd like seen a few people at the show that I already was very familiar with just
yeah.
by like Twitter. So yeah, I feel like I probably knew that at the time.
Wow, love that. That's so weird to, like, think that, like, you knew me too. Like, I mean, I think we talked before that, but it was just, like it was, like it's so weird for me to, like, meet an artist and have them be like, "Oh, yeah, like, I know you." But
Yeah, because some people also I feel like are very like don't really connect the name to the face, but like I had like a very good like handful of people that were super invested with like my career and my music at the time, and I think you were like one of them in the beginning. So like those
yeah.
people I tend to like, remember.
For sure. Um, so yeah, I guess with that being like, how would you describe your relationship with your fans? That kind of leads me into that question. Cause I mean, obviously you have people like me and Matt and like other fans that you kind of like know, but like other than that, how would you describe it?
Well, honestly, like 3 of my closest friends are fans. Like my closest friends ever, like my best friends are fans. One of my best friends, her name is Lua, and like I literally met her at my first show. And I actually wrote a song about it before with like the opening line says like Lua was at my first show.
Aw,
But but yeah, like I just feel like we like there's just a certain like click, especially because in the beginning when I was like forming my persona as an artist, I was coming across very or I'd like to think I was coming across very like expressive of like my mental illness and being queer and all these things that were very out in the open. So I feel like my fans tend to feel like they know me in a way before I even know them.
yeah.
And whenever I get messages from people, it kind of comes across like they're already friends with me and they'll be like asking for advice or just like talking to me in a very personal way. So it lets me like connect with them immediately.
Yeah.
And that's why I love shows too, because like that was usually my favorite part. Even though like I do love performing and stuff, it is very like nerve-wracking and scary, but like afterwards the high of just like talking to all these people and like that was my favorite part about touring, was just meeting everybody. But yeah, I feel like I have like a very personal connection like with almost everybody, especially like on Twitter and stuff. I'll follow people if they're keeping up with me, and I'm like super grateful when I see that people are like still coming along for the ride.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, side note, Lua did, like, respond to the, like, question thing, and I was laughing so hard because it was like, "Who's your best friend and why is it Lua?" Like, it was so funny. So I recognized her too, because like, I remember I either saw you, like, post about her or something, or, like, even
mhm.
about, like, the song that you wrote, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so cute," and I just love her name because, like, it makes me think of the Bright Eyes song, but, like
Yeah, I'm not scared to be, like, friends with people that are fans at all.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, I think the other person that I've actually met a couple times and, like, hung out with and I text all the time is Michael. If you see
Mhm.
him, like, on
Yes.
Twitter and stuff, like, he's one of the most, like, ride or die fans that I have, and I just like that, like, we became friends, and that element of him, like, still supporting my music never changed. Like, he's not like, "Oh, we're friends now," and, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, he still, like, will post all my shit and,
Yeah.
like, send it to other artists, and he's just super, super supportive. So that's really cute and helpful.
No, and I love that because, like, a lot of fans I mean, like, a lot of artists are like, "Oh, I'm better than my fans, like, I don't need to be friends with them." Like, it
Oh,
comes off
yeah.
that way, and you're like, "Really?" Like, because 'cause they're the people who are, like, making you who you are, and, like, so
Yeah,
I
I
kinda
f
love
I
that.
feel like maybe that's just, like, I feel like some people make themselves seem, like, untouchable,
Yeah,
so that, or, like, some people view like, the people that they stand like that, but I feel like I've just made myself seem like I'm very reachable in a certain way to where people can, like, talk to me or, like, just get to know me, even though I don't do many, like, interviews and things like this, but I still feel like people just, like, feel like they know me somehow, and I, like,
yeah.
don't make myself too like, I don't put myself on a pedestal or anything like that.
Yeah, no, and that's important because like, it turns people off from, like, your music if people act like that. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
wanna support you because 'cause you're, like, not the nicest person, but, like or, like, not reachable. Like, I feel like people who are more attainable or at least, like, relatable are
Yeah,
a lot easier to, like, support and, like, want to continue supporting because I feel like if they're
for sure.
unattainable, it's like, there's nothing, like, comforting about that, and at least for me, like, I like feeling some sort of, like, comfortability with the artist or, like, feeling like they're relatable as a person as much as their music is relatable. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also, like, a became, like, a huge thing with social media because that's kind of, like, broken a barrier of letting people see into our lives, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I think, like, a lot of artists seem more attainable. I don't know if you can hear that car. Um, but a lot of artists seem more attainable and, like, just more relatable, I guess, because of social media and, like, how you can, like, post, like, photo dumps and shit right now.
Yeah,
So I feel like it just seems like everyone's, like, on the same level and shit.
for sure. So, speaking of social media, how did you get discovered as an artist?
Um, I feel like I've, like, told the story a bunch, but not in a while, so this is, like,
Yeah.
refreshing. Um, so I basically started music, I think I had to be, like, a junior or senior in high school, and I'd already known, obviously, before that, like, just growing up that I wanted to be a singer, I wanted to do music and all that stuff, but I'd never, like, seriously did anything with it. So, I think I just, like, got into a friend group where they were actually recording shit, like, they were producing stuff. So I was like, okay, like let me become friends with these people and figure it out. So I started recording songs, like, and I remember the first song I ever put out was actually the first song I ever put out was like me on the ukulele, but the first like produced song that I put out was like this guy that I worked with at Jack in the Box produced it for me, and like we recorded it in one take in his bedroom, and I put it on SoundCloud, and that was like the first song I had that did like 300,000 streams in like not a very long time. And then I just kept kind of like messing around with it and just seeing what I could do. And then I found this beat on YouTube and I was literally looking up like I think I had to look up like Kanye type beat, which is like so different from my music right now, like
Yeah.
so different. Um and then I found the beat for Medusa, and I just posted that snippet on Twitter, like just thinking like, okay, this is super different from everything I have on SoundCloud. I only have like a few songs on SoundCloud, but I was just like, this is very like experimental in my eyes because I wasn't really making pop music necessarily.
Yeah.
And I still think Medusa isn't like straight up pop music. It's like I don't even know what it is. So I posted it on Twitter, just thinking like, let me just like drop that, see what that does. And by the next morning, it had like 150,000 likes. And I think I get asked a lot too if like a specific person saw it and like retweeted it or something, but I don't like it just kind of happened like that. Like it just kind
Yeah.
of organically grew like that. I didn't like I don't tweet deck, I don't do any of that shit. So um it just like grew like that. And then yeah, then I kind of met my manager through that, which led me to the label, and everything kind of like went from this to this within like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
So
Yeah. I remember it being fast because like I followed you from that video and then I was like, it was like, oh, EP coming. I'm like, oh my God, yay. Like
yeah,
it felt like
because I
in no time.
yeah, I literally just like they liked Medusa, so we like bought that beat, we recorded it, and then we're like, okay, EP coming, because I was getting in this. I went from like obviously making songs with this dude I worked with at Jack in the Box to making songs with like Joel Little that did all of Lord stuff, and like CJ Barron that does like Carly Rae Jepsen, Britney Spears. You know, like there's I just went from like one extreme to another. Like so yeah, I pretty easily just kind of got in the groove of it and like came out with that first EP, which is still like some of my favorite music of mine, just because it's like my very first child, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I understand that. Um, so yeah, I forgot to ask, but like, what was your relationship with music like growing up then? Because you said like early on you knew that you wanted to do music, and I know you're a big Gwen Stefani fan, no
oh
doubt.
yeah.
But, like, I want to know like what your relationship was with it growing up.
My parents are pretty musical. Like on my dad's side, everyone knows how to play guitar. Like everyone, even just like my aunts, uncles, grandma, you know, everyone knows how to play guitar. And so I got my first guitar when I was like 10. But even before that, like I remember my parents like taking videos of me singing like country songs with a camcorder and stuff like that. Um, and I don't, as far as like what I was listening to and like what I grew up around as a child, like No Doubt was my favorite band. Like that was I remember when I had an iPod Shuffle, and like the first thing I put on there was like this No Doubt CD that my grandma had. Like,
Yeah.
and like my dad had me on like a bunch of, I guess like really big alternative bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, you know, all that stuff. And then my
Yeah.
mom had me listening to like Dixie Chicks and Celine Dion, and like so I had like a very wide range of music growing up, and it was like something that I think I wrote my first song when I was like 9 or 10, and I just thought like every kid was doing that, like the same way like most kids learn how to ride a bike and do this and this. I was like, okay, every kid's writing music and like
Wow.
doing
Wow.
that. So yeah, but then I think the very first time that I even thought about like doing a different job was when I was in high school, and they're like, oh, you have to apply for colleges. I was like, oh shit, like I have to like either become a singer or do that. Because like even in middle school, just like growing up, I thought like that's what I want to do, so that's what I'm gonna go for. So yeah, like I kind of always thought that's where I'd end up. So
Wow. That is crazy. I feel like a lot of artists say that where they were like, "Oh, I just thought that like that was a thing everyone did." Like to
hmm
which is just crazy to me. I mean, like I wrote like poetry when I was a kid.
yeah.
Like I enjoyed that. I enjoy writing, but it didn't continue. I wish it had because like I wish I had some sort of like musical like ability or like
hmm
songwriting ability. I think if I really tried, I could write songs and I think that would be like fun. But I certainly don't have like the natural instinct to do that like some people do, and I think that's like so interesting. That's why I love like this kind of thing where I can talk to people who do that because
Right.
I find it so
I
interesting.
also I do think that like your I guess natural instinct with those types of things is like ever changing. Because
Hmm.
even I'll listen to that first EP and be like, whoa, like the way that I wrote music is so different than the way I write it now. And it's only been like, I mean, I guess 4 or 5 years is like a long time. I think it's been 4 years. But just the way that like my brain processes like, oh, this is what I want to say today, and this is how I want to write it on this instrumental. Like it's really drastically changed since I started music just because like my perceptions changed as an adult now from being like 17, 18 when I started.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that those types of things are something that like I've met songwriters that are around my age that are like, yeah, I just like last year got into music. So I think there are people that are super talented that don't like they don't have that thing where they like always knew as a kid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think it's definitely something that you can like grow into as well.
Oh, yeah. It's different for everyone. Um,
Hmm.
so how would you describe where you are now as an artist, like, or in your career?
I'm in kind of like a weird spot because I obviously went from being like on a label and having all the support to now being like I am holding the wheel. Like I'm in control now. And there's a sense of like freedom with that and just like liking that I have the control, liking that I can choose when I want to put out songs and choose how I want to do the videos and what the budget will be and like doing all this stuff by myself, but also having the weight of doing it by myself and just being like, oh, like now I have to find people to fund it and
Yeah.
kind of feeling like I need help here and there. But I feel like I kind of though all that kind of happened for the better because I feel like I had a really great start on Republic and like it was like a huge boost in kind of getting me into the world of music. But I don't know, I just kind of feel like shit happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm in a spot now where I was just meant to be like in more control so that I can kind of change as my like as I was kind of saying like how my creative mind is changing so that I can change with it and do that freely off of the label because I wanted to be more experimental and like they were like, oh well, I don't know if we want to do that. So I was like, okay, like let me go do that on my own. So I definitely feel like it's very bittersweet. But I feel like yeah, I'm in like a good spot where I'm just able to fully like dive in and figure out like who I am as an artist. And I don't think I was there yet when I started, even though like I was kind of coming up in a really good way and I had a lot of good people around me, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's like I think it was a good decision. Like I'm really excited to see where you go now that you're independent. Like I feel like you'll just have like all this creative freedom and like it'll be so exciting. Like I'm like
Hmm.
first of all, I want Loser. Why isn't that not on streaming services yet?
I know. I feel like a lot of people think that I'm also not doing anything, and that's why like I was excited to do something like this where I can be like, actually, like there's a
Yeah.
lot going on behind closed doors, and like I've still been doing sessions a lot. I just think that what happened was I made Medusa the EP, and then I made Here in Your Bedroom, which are like two completely different things. And then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me make something that will pull in both of those audiences, like the people that like this and the people like that like this. And I was kind of just coming to like a middle ground lately with like what my version of pop music sounds like 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah.
Because pop is ever changing also. Like it's just like a thing that is always like I feel like pop really drastically changed too when like Billy came out
Mm.
and
Oh
all
yeah.
these like super experimental young people coming into music and changing pop music like it's it just changes so fast and so drastically and I think hip hop's having a huge like impact on pop music and even like alternative coming into hip hop and like those two things merging like music is just changing so much
Yeah.
that I feel like I'm in a good spot to be like yeah, I'm like working on it behind closed doors and figuring out like what 2020 Kailee Morgue sounds like.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's been fun. So
Yeah. No, I agree. Like when like Billy, like even Charlie, like with hyper pop and like PC
mhm.
music, I feel like it is changing so much. Like I always say like Charlie is like the future of pop music. Like her
Oh
music
yeah.
I think is like where it's going. People just aren't like ready for that yet. Like
Oh yeah, I think
um
Dylan Brady is also like pioneering this whole other side of pop music, which is crazy. And I can't believe like I have two songs with him out that like sound nothing like that, but that just
yeah.
shows like his just scale of like what he can do because he's
Yeah.
so talented.
No, I
But I think that
go
there's
ahead.
like a lot going on. He's like changing music for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I remember looking through, like, his discography because I was just, like, interested to see, like, what else he had worked on, and, like, I had no idea that I knew he produced for Jesse, like, Jesse Rutherford, but
Hmm.
I didn't know he had done songs, like, on the Neighborhoods album, and I'm like, "Oh my god," like, the versatility,
Oh yeah,
like, it is just crazy. He is so talented. Ugh,
he is.
him.
I feel like he also like him and Laura are not, they're just like not afraid of being like, this is fucking weird and it's so good. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like like that was a shot in the dark that like went so far. Like
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah,
So
no,
I feel like music is gonna be moving more in that direction. I feel like we're seeing more like hyper pop
yeah.
and like PC music going on lately.
Yeah, well, and I'm kind of at the point with music where I'm like, I don't care if like other people find this weird. Like, if I like it, I like it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna listen to it. Like, because there was a point when I was like probably in high school and like pretentious where I was like, oh, I can't listen to pop. I can't listen to top 40. Like, that's like embarrassing. Like, I don't
Oh, me
know where
too.
music. Yeah.
It's like,
But
I don't
now I'm
listen to
like,
the radio. What are you talking about?
yeah. But now I'm like, I'm gonna be listening to today's hits. I'm like looking at the Billboard top 10. I'm like, oh, I know every song. Like, that's
That's
interesting.
like that's what happens like when your music taste is so versatile and you know like you've dove into music far enough that you can be like top tier, like I actually like pop music. I actually like the songs on the
Yeah.
radio. Like that's when you're like head like big brain. You know what I mean?
That's literally galaxy brain when you're
So
like, pop music is actually good. Like, you like come to terms
yeah.
with it.
Like when you like listen to like Taylor's album and you're like, this is a legend. Like this is a masterpiece. I'm
Yes.
not afraid to like this. Like that's big brain.
It's so true. Oh my God. Like, but like, yeah, both sides. I'm like, pop music is great now. I like pop music like the 80s. 80s pop music is like my favorite.
Yeah.
Like it's so good, but I feel like now it's like turning into like so many alt techniques are being brought into like the pop world and like hip hop's like obviously huge. It has been.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing people like Machine Gun Kelly and like Ian
Yeah.
Dior that are doing like Blink 182 meets like I don't know, like just rap, I guess.
Yeah.
But
But
it's so
it's so
interesting.
cool. I love like the blending of genres because it keeps it
Hmm.
fresh, you know, like because there's only so much you can do. But like I think blending and like morphing into like new sounds like keeps it fresh. Obviously, there's people who are doing like brand new, like 100 gex. I have not heard. Like maybe like Death Grips is probably a like,
Yeah.
but like 100 gex, like that was something that I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like that was
Oh
like
yeah.
the time in a while where I was like, this is something new. This is something.
Okay, them also and Caroline Polachek.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that is a like a female doing pop music that I've never heard before. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that was so groundbreaking to me.
Yeah. Love her
And
voice.
I also like that we're seeing like women that like they're not old, but you know what I mean? They're like in their
Yeah.
30s, like pursuing pop music. Like because
Yeah.
I think that there's this stereotype that you have to be like 18 to 22 to be thriving. And
Yeah.
to see like people like Casey Musgraves, Caroline Polachek, like that's just I just love seeing that.
It's true because like, oh, Twitter is quite something when it comes to like Lady Gaga and like just like Madonna, like women who have been around like for a while. They're like, oh, like
Yeah.
Gaga's old now, and I'm like, she's like 30 something. Like, no, she's
Yeah,
not.
like
Like,
what are we doing?
I'm like, just because she hurt her hip doesn't make her old. Like, I feel so bad. Like, she's an icon though. I like went in and like I had like a deep dive into like her music videos the other day and I was like,
Hmm.
she is the moment, like and has been. Like
I was rewatching like all the videos with Bradley Cooper because I just love that. Like I was just like watching them perform that song in front
yeah,
of her entire like this like arena of people or stadium. I don't know.
yeah.
But I was just like, this is fucking insane. Like they're so talented.
I love her. And like I love that she's kind of like I almost wish she would just like transition into making like ballad albums or like really like mature
Yeah.
albums because like as much as like I liked Chromatica but I was like you know what the music that she made in her early days as like sacred. I'm like I think if she were to make music like Shallow or like the music on like the A Star Is Born soundtrack, like it would suit her so well. Like I'm
I
excited
think
to see.
I have a feeling that honestly she probably will move into that because I feel like you have to kind of age with your music and a lot of artists like they do start making more mature albums and
Yeah.
I feel like for her like Chromatica is just like I'm gonna pay homage to like what I know that my fans have loved about my music
Oh,
and
for
like
sure.
doing this but years later. You know, that's like just her newer version of what she did, but I do feel like she's gonna eventually have like that ballad moment. I really feel like that she's gonna do that soon.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't like Joanne, but, like, A Million Reasons is, like, one of her biggest
Yeah,
songs, like,
I
so
mean, yeah, it's that one's pretty good.
yeah. But, yeah, I mean, ugh, we got on a tangent. Look what happened. Look, guys, I can't. Like, it's been a while since Kaylee and I caught up. We have to. But, yeah, I guess we'll talk really quick about quarantine as much as I hate it. But, how has it changed the course of your career? Because I believe it's done that for everyone at this point.
Oh, it's kind of that's, like, such a loaded question, I guess. I feel like every artist is gonna be like, "No concerts." Like, that's, like, first things first.
Yeah.
No concerts, no intimate shows, like, nothing. Um, which has been honestly, I wasn't doing too many of them, but, like, I was so excited because I was finally gonna book one in my hometown, and I was like, "This is gonna happen." And I've been out for however many, like, 3 years, and I've never done a show in my hometown. So I was so excited, and, then, like, bam, quarantine hit. So and I'm not sure, obviously, like, when things are gonna get back to normal, like, so it's just really, like, it's annoying, but also, like, I understand that we gotta be safe. I'm
Oh,
always
yeah.
wearing my mask and stuff.
I know.
Also, I'm not sure if, you've talked about this with, like, Chloe or something, but the fucking Zoom sessions, very difficult.
Yeah.
Very
Everyone said
difficult.
that. Everyone has
It's
said
like because I've, like obviously, like, my boyfriend does music as well, and, like, he won't even he won't even do them.
yeah.
He's just like it's so awkward, and it's, like, really hard because a few of them I've had, I'm, like, meeting the person for the first time. So it's not like we already know each other, we already have, like, musical chemistry.
Yeah.
So, you have to, like, introduce yourself, get to know this person, and, like, get through all the awkward, like, talking over each other, like, when it cuts out and trying to, like, hear the guitar through the computer, like,
Yeah.
all this
Oh my
shit, and trying to feel like not let that get in the way of your creative mind also, like, be like, "Oh, like, now I have to be inspired while I'm, like, staring at this laptop screen and
yeah.
somebody's playing me, like, low quality guitar." So, it's it's really been hard to, like, make stuff. Luckily, like, I can record from my apartment and stuff, like, there's ways of making it work. I
Yeah.
just feel like it really affects, like, the inspiration, I guess, and to feel like you're not, like, doing enough living to even write about things, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it just feels like I don't do anything all day, and now I have to think of, like, some crazy lyrics.
That's true.
So, yeah, that's probably the biggest part of it, because that's all I've been focused on right now is making the music. Um, but luckily, like, I didn't already have any shows or anything that I had to cancel because that would be terrible. I know a lot of artists had to cancel full on tours.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just the fucking sessions that are, like, really, really difficult.
Yeah, no, every artist I've talked to has been like, "I hate Zoom sessions," like, unless you're working with someone that you, like, know already, I guess, but everyone was like, "They're terrible." Like, it's hard enough to, like, get in a room and share your life story, like, with someone that you don't
Yeah.
know, but and then getting online and doing it through a Zoom call is not much better. But yeah, totally what you said about writing too. Like, I can't even imagine like being in your house, like doing the same thing all day, every day, and then having to like write about your life experiences. It's like, well, I haven't done anything. So
Yeah, it's like,
what do I
what?
write about? But I guess that's where people start to like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are writing about like the isolation. I'm interested to see in the next couple years, like how many songs we get about that. I mean, we'll be
Yeah.
able to relate, I'm
I
sure,
just feel like
but
yeah, I feel like I'm not too into, like, being super self-referential, like, I think, like, Blink-182 just came out with a song called, like, Quarantine,
yeah.
and, well, I don't think they, like, hit as hard since, like, Tom DeLonge left, but still, I was just like it's, like, too literal for me that I'm, like, I try to find I'm having a stroke. I was like I try to find, like, different ways of like talking about things, but it's so I'm not like directly being like, oh, like I'm sitting in my bedroom doing nothing for 8 months. You know what I mean? But it's yeah, it gets really difficult.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure some people are getting more like metaphorical or maybe even like not really writing about their actual experiences because they kind of just have to like,
yeah.
what's the word? Like compromise or, something like that, like when it comes to it, because like I said, not many things are
If you
going
have
on,
like a
but
if you have like a good imagination and like you can story tell, then you're fine. I
yeah.
feel like a lot of people are getting their inspiration through like watching movies and reading books and stuff. because then you can kind of like
Oh,
live
yeah,
through people.
for
But
sure.
yeah, it's I don't know.
Ugh, yeah, the Zoom sessions, I apologize on behalf, like, for you guys, because like, I don't even like my Zoom classes. Like, I told someone, I was like, "I the only thing I can relate to is, like, Zoom classes, and I hate Zoom classes." I mean, I would rather just do
Yeah.
all the work online. Like, I like being at home, but I don't like having to get on a call and then, like, get called on through my computer. Like, it's just
Oh,
not.
yeah. I couldn't imagine that. I
Yeah.
did online school before, and that was, like, hard enough, so it's really interesting that they're putting, like, everyone through that process because not everybody is like, some people are more visual learners or, like, have
Mhm.
to be taught with somebody next to them, like, telling them how to do it. So
Yeah.
it's just, like it just seems like it's putting so much stress on, like, children and families and college students, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I can't even imagine being, like, a kid right now
Mhm.
and
I
having to.
have a bunch of siblings.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have about, like, 7 siblings, and I think, like, 5 of them are in school, and we're talking, like, it's like an 8-year-old, and he's, like, sitting at the computer trying to learn, like, these math, like, equations and stuff. It just seems so hard, I feel so bad.
Ugh, yeah, I like and my parents are like, "Thank God you guys are adults now." Like, my brother and I, like, we're both in college, so we can kind of, like, do our own thing, but they're like, "Thank God you guys aren't kids," because like, my parents both work, so, like, getting us online to, like, do all like, I can't even imagine. I
Yeah.
like, shout out parents who are doing that right now, like, and
Yeah,
working.
they're being, like, teachers from home right now.
Yeah, so, okay, no more quarantine. What are we doing after things go back to normal in, like, 2 years? Like, what are we doing then?
Dang. I'm not sure. I feel like I should have more of a plan of, like, what's my life gonna look like, 'cause I but honestly, I don't know when it's gonna go back to normal. I feel like everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, it might just be fine next year," but then there's certain articles that are saying, "Oh, it's gonna be, like, 3 to 5 years." So, I know, it's hard to fathom, I know.
I'm moving to New
Um,
Zealand.
Also, like, I'm, like, 22, and I'm like, "Am I really gonna spend my early 20s, like, quarantined?" Like,
That's how
that's
I feel. I'm like, my youth my youth is
yeah,
slipping
it's just
me.
crumbling. Like,
Yeah,
this is when I'm, like, the hottest, and I'm just, like
and I'm stuck inside.
I
Yeah,
f okay, well, like, honestly, though, I feel like when things go back to normal, I'll probably just be doing what I was doing before and, like, making music in person and doing shows. It's just, like I feel like every artist's life is, like, pretty much the same, just, like,
yeah,
making music, doing shows, blah, 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 and, so, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be doing the same thing I'm doing now, just, like, without the safety precautions.
yeah,
So, it's gonna be I don't know. I hope that is soon, even though I have this feeling that it's gonna be another couple years.
yeah. Well, and I mean, see, like, now it's harder because before I was like, everyone's going through it, so I don't need to, like, be upset. I mean, like, I'm still going to be, but I don't need to be as upset because other people are dealing with it. But now it's like I'm watching some countries,
Mhm.
like, go back to normal and, like, have shows, and I'm like, "Oh, so our country is just not going to respond well to this, and, like, we're gonna be stuck like this for quite some
Oh,
time."
yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's my
It's
thing.
yeah, there was just never, like, strict things, like, set in stone of just like, "Okay, we need to, like, follow these things or else it's not going to get better." Like, nobody's been, like I feel like that's why in certain places like China and stuff, it was, like, so controlled and so, like it was just I don't know, like, everyone, like, had to get kind of with the times and be like, "This is how we have to live until it gets better." And,
Yeah.
like, there's just too many people here that are like, I went to, Venice to shoot a video with Ricky, and, like, I was so shocked by how many people were not wearing masks. The skate park was open, people were playing basketball, like, and there had to be at least, like, 300 people there.
Yeah.
And, like, all we did was just go on, like, a secluded part of the beach and just shoot, like, a little scene in the sand.
Mhm.
But, like, it was just hundreds of people not wearing masks, and I was just like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. I'm like,
Just
it's never
not good.
ending. Like, because there's no
Yeah.
I mean, there's mandates, I think. I don't know about, like, other states, but, like, here, you can't, like, go in any establishment without a mask, at least as far as I know. But
Mhm.
I'm in New Jersey, for anyone who does not know. But, like, I went to North Carolina, like, when it was kind of, like, letting up. I had to go visit, a friend down there, and the ooh, North Carolina is a little bit too south for me. Yeah, it was just like people were it's that, like, "Oh, wearing a mask is a political statement," like, that kind of thing.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like,
I
"Oh,
feel like
okay."
in the Midwest too, like, I know people aren't practicing that.
Yeah,
There's just been I just know, there's just too many people like that and,
yeah,
like, anti-maskers for no reason.
yeah,
It's just it sucks because it's putting, like, so many people in danger, and it's just very selfish,
yeah,
and there's just so many people that, like, even if, like, this person gets like, doesn't get sick or, like, this person does get sick, like, they might have somebody in their family that has, like, autoimmune problems, and, I don't know, it's just or, like, giving it I feel like people are like, "Oh, like, if you give it to kids, like, it's okay, it's only really, like, affecting older people," or, like, it's I'm like,
I'm
just
like,
because 'cause they're asymptomatic does not mean, like, that it's fine, like, it's just like
no, and that was, like, the logic the first, like, 2 weeks, and then we realized, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, wait, it is a problem for kids
Oh,
too."
yeah, like, "Oh, wait, this is, like, actually killing people, and it's a really big deal, and it's
Yeah,
not fake."
mm,
So
what a nightmare. I just hope it comes back because, like, I mean, like, things go back to normal just because I would like to have a job, and I would like other people in, like, my industry to have a job. Like, I just feel so awful because, like, people that I, like, interned for, like, have nothing to work on. They're not making any money. Like, I just feel so bad
yeah.
for, like, artists and people in the, like, live industry right now just because there's nothing they can do. Like, there is
Mhm.
literally nothing they can do, and like, I just don't know
Well,
if we're going back
for
anytime
for
soon.
anybody that doesn't know, buy merch. Like,
Oh, yeah.
fucking buy merch because that's gonna help artists a lot. That's why you're probably seeing like a lot of artists dropping new merch lines, like coming out with songs with merch bundles.
Mhm.
Like buy merch because that's what I'm literally gonna do that. I think like November or December, like this month or next month, I should have like a drop coming out because I just picked like the designs. But it's like one of our number one sources of income,
Yeah.
and it's really important. So like if you want to support an artist, buy merch.
I and my dad's been, like, saying that to me. He's like,
Mhm.
we should buy merch, like, from this." Like, I think we bought something from, like, Save Our Stages did, like, a showcase, and we bought, like, the Phoebe Bridgers, like, poster and, like, bought, like, a
Mhm.
shirt. And then, like, he loves, like, Bruce Springsteen and, like, Brian Fallon, like, these, like,
Oh my god, I love Bruce Springsteen.
yeah, these, like, Americana, like, singer-songwriters, so they've been putting out, like, Bruce just put out an album, Brian Fallon, like, had merch put out, and he, like, will buy anything that he's like, "I would just give them money if they
Mhm.
asked," like, that's how he's like, "I just wanna support them," I'm like, "King."
Speaking of which, though, Phoebe Bridgers, Mothica responded to my story and was like, "Oh my god, I thought Phoebe Bridgers was interviewing you."
In my costume. Ah! That's so
It
funny.
was so cute, though.
I would die if I got Phoebe on just because she she somehow put, like, depression into, like, a sound, and, like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how she did it, but and, like, her songwriting is so interesting to me. I told someone else about this
So
too,
good.
but, like, the fact that she'll spend, like, 3 years, like, just adding to a song, like, that is so
Mhm.
crazy to me. I'm like I feel like if I were an artist or, like, a lot of artists that I talk to, they're like, "Oh, I just sit down and write it." Like, I can't go
Mhm.
back to it if it's not if I have to go back to it, it's not good. But, like, Phoebe, she's like, "Oh, I'll write down, like, 2 lines and not go back to it for, like, a year." I'm like, "Really? That's so
Yeah,
crazy."
I saw this, like, ad on YouTube where it was like an ad before, like, a video that was her talking about, like, the best advice I ever got was, like, making what I think she said something about, like, things that seem super funny, like,
Mhm.
using them as lyrics or something like that. She's like, the most, like, ridiculous shit you can think of, or, like, if it's funny, like, turn it into a lyric and just use it. And I
Yeah.
was like, "That makes so much sense as to, like, how she writes, because she's also, like, so witty, like, you can see it on Twitter
Mhm.
and stuff, like, and on her Instagram, like, she's, like, has so much personality. Also, I just feel like it'd be so cool for you to, like, do a podcast with her anyways, because she's so personable. Like, that would be so
Yeah,
funny to
she
watch her,
seems
like,
so
rant with
nice.
you. Yeah.
But, yeah, and I get all the time that people think I look like her, which I see it in, like, certain pictures, but I just think it's
Mhm.
funny, like, that's why I dressed up as her because I was like, "Oh, this is just gonna be funny." But, like, it's crazy because people were like, "Why did I think that was actually Phoebe?" I'm like, "Oh my god, Phoebe's a queen."
Yeah, you do look like her.
This compliment, like,
Perfect costume.
but yeah, I love her. Oh, Phoebe. Like, Punisher is probably, like, my favorite album this year. I don't
Oh,
know what
yeah.
yours is, but
Have you know what I listened to, like, last year? I think it was, like, one of my most played songs is "You Missed My Heart." Like, I listen to that song so much,
The
and it
9-minute
makes me it just,
classic.
like, breaks my heart every time.
Yeah, that song's so long too, it's like 8 minutes or something, but, like, I
It's a Sun Kil Moon cover, do you know
yeah,
that?
yeah, I knew it was a
'Cause I
cover.
feel like some people don't know that, but it's so good, like, her interpretation of it, even though it's very, very similar,
Yeah.
like, it's just so it's, like, softly sung, and it just sounds so good.
Yeah, I knew it was a cover because I was like, "This doesn't sound like something she'd write." I thought maybe she was singing a poem at first, and then, like, I
Yeah.
looked it up and I was like, "Oh, okay, this makes more sense." But,
Mhm.
yeah, like, the fact that she writes funny things, but the songs are still so depressing, like, that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
don't get. Because I was watching, like I think they like, literally today, they put out, like, a Genius, lyric breakdown of "I Know the End." And she was talking about like the first line is about it's like somewhere in Germany, but I can't place it. Man, I hate this part of Texas. But she's like, oh yeah, I wrote that because this guy I work with who worked with like on tour, he said like what we'd be in Germany, like a sad part of Germany, and he'd get out and be like, man, I hate this part of Texas. I'm like, what would make you think to like write that and like make it so sad? Like
Yeah,
every
some people just have that where they're like, "Oh, that needs to be in a song." That's what Ricky does all the time. He's like, because like, he'll think of, like, the most crazy concepts. I'm like, "How do you do that?" He's like, "I'll just, like, hear a word and be like, I'm gonna write about that." Like, some people just have that, you know what I mean? Where they can just turn it into, like, a song like that. It's
yeah, I
fucking
wish.
crazy.
That's so crazy, but that's why I love talking to artists because I love hearing about that, like, even though I can't do it, it's, like, so fascinating to me, but,
Yeah.
Phoebe Bridgers, man. Okay, yeah, so we gotta get to these fan questions because I got many. I think I picked, like I chipped it away to, like, my favorite ones, but we're gonna have to do, like, rapid answers because I tried to
Okay.
pick as many as possible. Okay, so first
Alright, I'll
one.
try to be quick.
Yeah, if you could make a song for a movie, what would be your ideal genre or, like, plot?
Probably like an A24 movie, like
Love
but I
824.
don't know. I don't know, like, what I really like 8th Grade, you know that movie? I
Yes.
really like super, like, coming of age and, like, Lady Bird, like, just, like,
Mhm.
the I know that's basic, but it's like I love those coming of age movies, they always make me cry. I'm not sure what the plot would be, but that probably just
Yeah,
like an A24 coming of age movie.
yeah. No, I could definitely see that, especially, like oh my god, 8th grade, though, like, I literally it made me cringe so bad, like, I mean, but it was too
Mhm.
real because it was just
It's
too real,
so
but it's so
realistic.
good. Ugh, Bo Burnham, man, how do you know how to write about, like, an 8th grade girl? Like, it's
He's
so
a fucking genius. Have you seen his
yeah.
comedy specials?
Oh, yeah.
So
He's so
good.
good. Okay, and next one. What is your favorite hair color that you've had so far? I like this question because 'cause you've done, like, every
Probably
form.
pink.
I loved the pink.
I go back to pink all the time. I literally have pink hair dye in my cabinet right now.
Yeah. Gas.
And I'm like, "Somebody, like, tell me not to do it." But I am gonna dye my hair back blonde. I think blonde is, like, my all-time favorite, but as, like, the funky hair colors,
Yeah,
probably pink.
yeah,
I'm about to dye it, like, white in, like, a couple weeks.
yeah. I love the platinum, I love the pink, and I like the light blue that you had for, like, the
Yeah.
your bedroom cover.
I think the green is the most iconic, but I just, like, won't go back to it because I just feel like it was, like, a specific phase in my life, and I'm just like, I can't, like, regress, right?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I feel
wanna do
that.
it.
Yeah, and I like the one you have now, it's, like, perfect for fall.
Yeah, it was very Halloweeny.
Oh, I feel like I know the answer because we talked about this earlier, but what is your dream city to perform in? I assume it's your hometown, but perhaps not.
Yeah. No, it is Phoenix because I've never got to, like, go I don't think I've ever done a show there, even when I was, like, doing stuff on SoundCloud, I never did, like, any small shows. So I think, like, going there and, like, selling out one of the venues there is, like, a huge kind of thing that I wanna do, a huge goal of mine.
Yeah. I'd love like, if I were an art I just wanna go to Tokyo. I don't know why I have to say, like, I would perform there, but I wanna go to
Oh,
Tokyo
yeah.
so bad.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, I
I've
wanna
never
go
been in general.
yeah, neither have I, but I wanna go when they open, like, the Studio Ghibli theme park. That would be amazing.
Yeah, ooh.
Um, okay, how are you currently feeling about being an independent artist? I feel like we touched on this, but currently in this moment.
Right now, I think it's kinda stressful, um, being in between things, but I feel like, everyone around me is always reminding me, like, "Okay, like, you're supposed to be doing this." Like, my mom and Ricky and just, like, all my close friends are always just, like, so validating and kind of reassuring that I'm, like, supposed to be here doing music. I need to, like, move away from this ray of sunshine. Um, But yeah, so I feel like stressed a little bit because it's all like on my shoulders, but I feel positive and like optimistic that that's where I'm supposed to be. So
I can definitely understand that. Like I know I have friends who are like independent or like newly independent and they're like it's a lot, but like it pays off just because of the, like creative freedom that you get and like being in control because I think the biggest thing is just like feeling like you don't have control when it comes to like labels and things like that.
yeah, for sure.
Someone said if you could give yourself advice when you were starting out, what would it be?
I think I would like tell myself to like put more of myself into my look and sound because I think that I was so excited to be on a label that I was just kind of like, oh, like what should I do? And like I was taking in so many opinions from people that I thought knew more than me instead of just being like, what do I want to do? So I think I would have just like did it a little bit more like my way because I think m- like even the videos like Medusa, I didn't really have like any say in, and I just felt like I like was seeing it a little bit differently than it turned out, even though I love that video so much. So I just feel like I would have like stayed true to what I like a little bit more.
Yeah. I think people a lot of like aspiring artists were like asking questions, so like that one I'm sure is like important for them to hear too.
Yeah.
Um I think Michael might have asked this one. If you could is there anything that you're interested in pursuing outside of music?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I feel like there's things that I like doing. Like when I put my merch out, like there's just like different like mediums of art that I like. So like but nothing like I think that I would pursue, I guess necessarily. Like I draw a lot, so like a lot of my merch will be like hand drawn. Like I want to like kind of show my like range of art that I do.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure if I'd like pursue anything. I'm sure like if I get bigger, that I'll more of those doors will open up for me so that I can like be like, oh, what do I want to pursue besides music? I feel like I've also been into like acting as well. But I almost got like a part in this one movie. I won't say what it's called, but but like I was like really close, and I was like, and I've never done anything like acting wise, so
Yeah.
that was like really cool for me. And so that's been something too that I was like that could be really cool. But I'm also like I have so many fucking tattoos. I'm very like specific like the way that I look, so I know that it would
Yeah.
have to be like a very specific role. But that's something that I feel like I would enjoy also. So I'm not sure. We'll see like if those doors open up, what the
Yeah.
opportunities may bring.
I think it would be so fun to act. It would be cool too seeing like you in a movie because it's like, oh my God, like I know this person like as a musician, but like then you see them act.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's how it was like when Gaga was in A Star Is Born. I was like, oh my God, like I mean she looked
Hmm.
different, but I was like, this is
You're
crazy.
seeing like another layer of them,
Yeah.
you
Well, and
know?
she was in American Horror Story. I forgot about that too. But yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I see artists that I like acting, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
But
But
I think that's why like a lot of artists are like starting to do like skits and stuff in their music videos and like things
yeah,
where they do have to act a little bit. And I always think that's so interesting. Like I want to do like super satirical, yeah, satirical
yeah,
videos like Blink-182 did, like where it's just like fucking like funny and stupid.
yeah.
Like, so I want
Me
to get into that
too.
a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, someone said, is the creative process different when working with Ricky? If so, how?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I feel like it's a little bit different because I feel like more pressure because I'm just like I like admire him so much, and I just think that he's so talented, and like his ideas for his songs are so specific and so like he has this new song that's about to come out, and it's like it's like I just don't even know how he thought of this, but it's like the irony of like he's basically like saying like talking about people that like say that they're punk and alternative, but like everybody's punk and alternative, and being punk is like being the fucking weirdos that are standing out. So he's like, you're actually being very normal by being punk. And it's just like,
Yeah.
how are you like, how do you think of that? But so like when we did Hush, for example, or Scream, when we did Scream, we were just friends. So like that was like a little bit less pressure. And I was just like, okay, like I'm just gonna do my thing because I know he like wanted me on it. But when we did Hush, like I thought it was so good that I was just like I thought about it for a long time, and I feel like I definitely like put more pressure on myself than I do when I'm by myself, like doing a song for me because I know that like it's his song and I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but yeah, I don't think the process is different though. Like we kind of help each other with writing and stuff, and I don't always have people helping me. So
Yeah. I feel like it's probably fun too, just because I mean, I'm sure there is pressure just because you like want it to be good, but like I feel like you're comfortable enough with each other now. It's like, oh, like it's just kind of like something that we do for fun, you know. But do you ever just make songs for fun, like with no
Yeah.
intention? Yeah.
Um, I don't know, like, I do kind of. I feel like he views music, like, so, like, he's has to be in, like, a very specific mood to be creative, but I, like, will just, like, pick up a guitar sometimes and just, like, almost talk, like, with, like just,
Yeah.
like, say exactly what I'm thinking just because I feel like I'll just, like, sing randomly, even if I'm not writing a song, and just start talking about how I'm feeling over, like, guitar or something like that so that I can, like, get out, like, almost vent in a way.
Yeah.
So I use music like that too for, I guess, coping.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's probably, like, my version of doing it for fun, probably.
Interesting. I like that. Like, I like that you just like talk over a guitar. And I think
Yeah.
it's cool that Ricky's is like more like he's sitting down with like a concept or like an idea that like he wants to
Mhm.
explore through music, while yours is a lot more like personal or emotional. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone said, "Who are your fashion icons?" I always like this question.
My fashion icons. They've kind of changed because it was Gwen Stefani, obviously, and Avril, and I was just like, I really liked that. I think that style was, like, really up and coming, like, a couple years ago, but I think, like, obviously, no offense to everybody, but, like, I think that's kind of everybody's style icon right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, "Oh, dang, I need to" so I started looking into, like, who their style icons were, and, like, Gwen Stefani was looking at Cyndi Lauper and Debbie Harry, like, she was copying them, and also the fucking lead singer of Till Tuesday has, like, this sick ass haircut, and it's, like, all it's just, like I'm really into, like, 80s stuff right now, like, 80s goth and, like, all of that, like, I'm trying to kind of pull from what, like, my icons were pulling from so that I can
Mhm.
kinda get deeper into, like, why was this thing cool and what can I do, like, to make it my thing, I guess.
Good idea.
Um but yeah, that's probably like Debbie Harry for sure. When my hair is like that's why I dyed my hair blonde with a dark underneath because
Mhm.
that's like a super Debbie like classic thing. And like usually my hair is like even more messy than this because I just have like permanent bedhead and I like that. So
Yeah. Oh my god. Quick thing I just remembered about Gwen Stefani. When I was a kid and like I was in elementary school, I would play this game with my friends where we would like pretend to be celebrities. And like I remember I picked Gwen Stefani. Like I would always be Gwen Stefani. Like, and I don't know why. I mean, like I was a big No Doubt fan,
yeah.
but I just think that's so funny. Like she was just an icon when I was a kid. So, but
Yeah,
I've never
she's
thought
always
about
been
that.
that. Like she's always been that bitch.
Yeah. But I've never thought about, like, looking into, like, who the people that I, look up to in terms of fashion, like, who they looked up to, like, that's crazy, like
Yeah,
well, and, like, the '80s, it was a good time for fashion,
it
sometimes,
was.
but
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff not I'm not gonna pull from.
yeah,
So
yeah. Oh my god, what is your favorite instrument to listen to?
just instrument, like music,
Yeah,
probably that's such an interesting question. Probably actually, I don't know because I feel like it's obviously, like, gonna be piano, like, or guitar.
yeah.
Because I think piano is, like, super it just feels more like a lullaby in a way, and,
Mhm.
like, I remember listening to, like, Bella's song. Like, okay, that was me in high school just, like, listening to that over and over and over again. But
Yeah,
then there's something, like, so heart-wrenching about, like, certain guitar chords too. So I feel like for different reasons, both of them are my favorite.
yeah,
Um, but, like, on its own, I would probably listen to piano more, like, on its own because I think that you can make more, like, full pieces with melodies than you can in guitar.
yeah, for
So,
sure. I think I would say piano too, but I also like strings a lot, like, I like violin.
yeah.
I don't know if I would just, like, listen to violin on its own, but I love it in, like, songs, like, when people add strings, I'm like, "Oh, okay, like, this is my new
It's
favorite
like
song."
that's, like,
Yeah,
heart-wrenching.
yeah,
That's so good.
yes, I agree. It's just, okay, what are your greatest achievements musically and non-musically?
Oh my gosh.
I know some
Um,
questions here.
Probably my biggest achievement was telling my mom that I want 1 year off of college, like, before I wanted, like, a little gap year so that I could pursue music and then getting signed in that year because I was just like, "Let me figure it out," and I did, you know what I mean? Like, that was just, like I'm so proud of myself still that I did that in that time span because, like, I didn't think that I could, and I did. And I think also just like still pursuing it even though I'm doubtful sometimes, like that's just like being where I am now is still a huge achievement, and having the amount of like people that give a shit like just feels huge to me.
Yeah.
Um and I guess non-musically, probably like I'm not sure, like it's not really like an achievement, but I guess just like being as strong as I've been like in my life. Like I don't think I realized that until other people tell me like, do you realize like all of these things that you've been through and you're here right now like this? And I'm just like, oh yeah. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll like be talking to like Ricky about like my life, and he's just like, that is like so fucked up, and like you're just like here and you're you're fine. And I think that's like, and just coming out of like different like abusive relationships and like having a weird childhood and like being around certain people like that I wasn't supposed to be around. It's just a lot of, and also like Hunter passing away, like which was like a huge thing this past year for me. So there's like a lot of grief and love and happiness and sadness that like I feel like I don't give myself credit for, and it's still like I'm here today, and that's like the biggest achievement to me.
Yeah. No, and it's so
So
important to acknowledge that. Like I think the same thing. Like I think like before I went to like therapy, I didn't think about that, but like after being in like therapy and talking to someone, they were like, anything you come out from stronger, like you should be really proud of yourself for that. And like
mm-hmm.
so it is so important, especially in like big life events, like you were saying, like the death of loved ones or
Yeah.
just mental health in general. Like it's so important to like acknowledge that you've been through a lot. And yeah, we're getting
Mm-hmm.
into like mental health, like self-help. If everyone's listening, like yes, be proud of yourself. But yeah, it is so important. I'm glad you said that. That was a good answer for that. Um, what do you want people to feel when they hear your music?
I want them to feel like like anything, as long as they're feeling something,
Yeah.
or maybe maybe they're not feeling anything, but I just feel like I make it like the way that I make music is from an emotional standpoint, and it's like a coping mechanism for me. So I guess like I want the way that I feel like I'm purging my emotions and like venting, I want them to kind of feel like they can vent, or like through listening to it, like, oh, this person feels this way, or like this is, because I am like super emotionally involved, like when I listen to music too. Like I half the time, like if I have been bottling up all this emotion and like I feel like I need to cry, like I can listen to music and I'll start crying. Like like music like makes me feel so good and so sad, and like sometimes like I want to feel sad though, because I'm just like I need to like get that emotion out, or I need to feel like this emotion, and so I'll listen to music to allow myself to feel it. And I guess that's like kind of what I want people to feel if when they listen to my music, because I know that sometimes it's like just like you can have empathy, I guess, for like whatever you're listening to, where you're just kind of adapting with like that emotion, and it feels so good to let it out.
Yeah,
So
very true. And the last one, what is the strangest experience you've had that's inspired a song?
um I'm trying to like think of all the songs that I have now. I feel like I don't have any songs that are from like a strange experience. I know that Medusa was inspired by a movie,
Oh,
because
really?
he was like, yeah, because it was like I forgot what movie it was, but like one of the actors said, oh, like there's blood in the water and like the sharks are coming, and then I literally just wrote an entire song because of that. But I feel like my other songs are like usually either about like relationships, like fuck you for example was just like literally me being with my boyfriend, going to write that song, and then like breaking up with him and kicking him out of my apartment the next week. Like that was like a fucking power move, that
Yeah,
song.
powerful.
And then like as far as the new EP, like a lot of that is just so honest, it's just like me like with my experience with like sexuality and grief and like all these different things that I feel like none of it's like weird. It's just kind of like you're kind of getting the experience of like what I've gone through
Yeah,
while listening to it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you're taking a step in like my shoes for the past, like what I've been living through for the past 6 months. You know what I mean?
for sure.
So
So those were all the fan questions that I picked. And now if you have any questions about like fan culture, any like for me, feel free. If you don't, that's totally fine. But if you do.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm like a stan too. So I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Like, I wonder what I could even ask. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have any questions. Sorry.
that's totally fine. Yeah, yeah, it's more for people who, like, aren't familiar with, like, stan culture. Like, I know Chloe, like, she really didn't know a lot about, like, the fact that people, like, slept on the street for artists. Like, she had no idea that that was, like, a thing,
Oh yeah.
and
See, I know all about that.
I was like, "Let
I
me
s-
educate you." Like,
I see all you guys like posting like, oh, like just like I'm like second in line, and it's like like 2 days before the fucking show, and I'm like, oh my god, what are you doing?
I know, I'm like, I don't think I would do that now, honestly. Maybe, like, for, like, a certain amount of art, like, certain number, but, like, I don't think I would ever. I've only ever slept on the street once, and
I guess
I
I guess I do have a question though. Is it like very hostile environment? Is it like being out?
oh, yeah. Oh, it's hostile, but it's not hostile in that, like, I slept on the streets of New York, like, and it wasn't, like, hostile because of that, it was hostile because of the other fans and, like, how
Yeah,
insane they were
that's
all
kind of
getting.
what I was because I've heard about like people getting like super just like it's like like everyone's like high strungly irritable because they're just
Oh, yeah.
like this is my spot in line like blah, blah, like
Yeah. Well, like,
and like just pushing to barricade.
people would, like, number themselves, but then, like, there'd be people at the front of the line who would start, like, a number system so you'd know your spot in line, but then there'd be other people who were, like, writing their own numbers and, like, messing it up,
Hmm.
and, like, it would cause a whole thing, and, like, I was friends with, like, pretty much everyone I was, or Twitter mutuals at least, with everyone I was in line with at the show that I slept on the street for, and then, like, but as soon as, like, the security came out to, like, get ready to let us in, no one was friends. There were no
That's
friends.
what I mean. Like I feel like it
Like,
just like it turns into like a like you guys are it's like you guys are like animals for a second. Like
yeah,
I'm gonna get the barricade. Like
yeah. No,
I'm gonna do what it takes.
it's literally like a bull seeing red. Like, you're just like, I will be getting barricade." But yeah, it's something. And, like, we get onto we all get the barricade spots, and then we're like, "Oh my god, guys, like, I can't wait for the show." Like, it's all back to normal, but, like, those, like,
Yeah.
10 minutes where you're, like, waiting to get in and, like, the run, as I call it, it is not fun. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, it is sometimes hostile.
What are some of your favorite shows that you've been to?
Whenever I get asked this, honestly, like, the first thing that comes to mind, like, I in, like, 2017, I went to, see the 1975 at Madison Square Garden, and then the next day went to see Banks
Mhm.
for, like, the Altar tour, and, like, those were 2 of, like, the best shows I've ever seen in my life, and they were, like, back to back, like, one day after the other.
I I have been to like I've been to a lot of 1975 shows just like from knowing people.
Yeah,
Um and like I went for the what's that? Which album is that? It
Briefing.
was like the third I think it was the third album that I
Yeah,
went for,
Briefing.
and it was so good, like, all the visuals and, like, all of it was just it was so good.
Yeah. Well, and when I saw them at Madison Square Garden, it was for the "I Like It When You Sleep" tour, that,
Mhm.
like, long title, um, but that set list was great. It was, like, their first time playing, like, Madison Square Garden, so they were super excited because that's, like, a big milestone, and
Mhm.
I knew, like, it was the first time that I had been to New York for a show, and my dad came with me, and he hadn't listened to the 1975 much. First of all, that show converted him. He's now, like, a bigger stan than I am. And I also, like, 20 people that I knew from Twitter were there, and, like, I had never met someone from Twitter, like, in person, and I was meeting, like, friends that I had known from, like, Texas and, like, obviously New York, and
Yeah.
people were coming from, like, Connecticut and all these states,
They have
and
a big, big fan base. Like,
yeah,
I feel like more often than not, you're gonna meet somebody and they probably do like them.
yeah.
I
So
I had a different experience obviously because I was, like, backstage and I, like, knew everybody. I met, like, the band and stuff, but I just, like I guess, like, that's just, like, it's just so different, like, being backstage
yeah,
versus being in the crowd, like, I can't even, like, imagine, I guess, like, how that must feel as a fan. Because I
yeah,
feel like I have such a different point of view with shows, like, knowing, like, now that I know what it's like to be backstage and just, like, have your own fucking room, like, you're just big chilling and everyone's in the crowd, like, they've been waiting for hours and, like, you just got there, you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, like, a different environment, and, it's made me, like, less like, wanna go to other people's shows less just because, like, it's exhausting, I feel like, being in the crowd
yeah.
even though it's fun. It's just
Yeah.
like a longer process than just getting there, being backstage, having like your food, your bathroom, like everything. It's just, you're very comfortable.
Oh, for sure.
So
And
I definitely have like a different view.
that was a show where people were sleeping out there for, I'm not kidding, like a week. Like,
Oh my God.
I did not do that. No, ma'am. I was not
Like
trying.
how are they like where are they showering?
They aren't. Like that's the answer. Like they are not. They probably are going to a McDonald's bathroom and wiping their pits with paper towels because that's pretty much what I hear.
They've got like some baby wipes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like it's bad. But I was not like my dad had to like take me to the show. He was not about to be like, "Oh yeah, I'll drop you off a week in advance." Like I wasn't going to do that anyway. But
Hmm.
so I had a pit ticket and we like just stood in the back of the pit. And honestly, I had more fun in the back of the pit. Like their shows, for some reason, like I'd rather be at the back of the pit than like the front.
Yeah, I went out. I think I went out to the pit for one of them too, and there was so much room. Like we were just like dancing, like me and my friends. Like it
Yeah.
was just so like carefree versus being like squished like in the front, like staring at Maddie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Because I've
so.
done both. I think the first time I saw them, I was at the front row just because I had like an early entry pass. It was like a radio show that I was seeing them at, and like that was super fun because it was the first time I was seeing them, so it was exciting. And I had like I was there by myself. It was like the day after my senior prom. It
Hmm.
was funny, but like yeah, then going to MSG, like I knew like 20 people, and we were all in the back of the pit like dancing and moshing. I call it like very loosely moshing because I'm not one to like throw elbows, but it was really fun. But then yeah, like the next day I went and saw Banks, and Banks is like the best live
So
performer.
good.
Like she is amazing. Like I usually don't like backup dancers. I usually don't like I'm just like it takes away, but with her, no. Like the choreography was amazing.
I don't think I've ever even seen like videos of her shows or anything. I'll have to look into it.
I'll
It sounds. I love her.
Yeah,
So.
I'll send you she has like a Lollapalooza set on YouTube and it's like really well filmed. I'll send you the link to that because she is amazing. Oh, like I literally watch it religiously. I wasn't even at the show and I'm like, I will watch this set. But yeah, so
I'll
those are
watch it
probably my
for
two
sure.
favorites. I'm trying to think of like anyone else. Like obviously like when I see Billy, like that's really fun, but it's for like different reasons just because I've like watched
Hmm.
them grow. Same like anyone that I'm seeing that I like know, that's fun because I'm like, wow, like that's like my friend on stage, like it's exciting. But
Hmm.
for like in terms of like experience, the 1975 kind of takes the cake a lot of the time because their shows are
Yeah.
just so fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, but I'm really excited to get back to shows. I'm like forgetting what they're
Oh
like.
yeah.
I did see 100 Gex before quarantine started. That was so fun. Like their
Oh, I
shows are
almost went to that show because like I knew so many people that were backstage, and
yeah.
obviously like I know Dylan and stuff, but I don't know because that was like pretty close to like when everything was on lockdown, right?
Yeah, it was like the month before. It was like February, I
Yeah,
think.
because they had like a couple of shows in LA, so I almost saw them too, but like I was just like a little bit scared.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, it was fun though. Like the energy there was great. So I'm excited to see them again. I was hoping to see them at Coachella, but oh well. That would be so funny seeing them at Coachella because it was before
Oh
like
yeah.
people really like started get like they weren't on TikTok, like people didn't really know about them. So I imagine like the crowd there would be really funny to like
Yeah,
watch
they'd be like,
experience.
what the fuck is going
Yeah.
on?
But unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wait. So now we'll talk about like our current favorites. If you have like a current favorite song or album or artist that you'd like to talk about.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna look. I do know that Montalius is somebody that I've been like I think for my first interview I've ever done, I like shouted him out because I think he's so incredible. He just came out with a single called Faint, and it's just like it sounds super like Phoebe Bridgers-esque to
Ooh.
me. Which he does like a lot of acoustic stuff anyways, but it just I don't know, it's so good. I've been listening to it like on repeat, so good. Um but yeah, and then probably like Till Tuesday, Voices Carry, which I made like a TikTok with us on.
Yep.
But I've been like I can't stop. It's so good.
No, I think I would honestly like I think my favorite song right now is like Just Like Magic from Ariana Grande's new album just because it's like the
Oh yeah.
manifestation anthem and I'm big on manifesting, so I like that. And then favorite album, I mean like that's come out recently, I would just say Positions. I've honestly been listening to like the same 3 albums that came out this year that I'm obsessed with, so it's not very helpful. But and then favorite artists, I've been on kind of like a little Peep kick just because his birthday just happened. Um,
Mhm.
but and then other than that, like I've been listening to SZA a lot, Ariana Grande, like obviously.
Classics,
Yeah, so
classics.
just kind of like pop. But I had such a big 80s kick like the other week. I just go through like phases. But
Mhm.
yeah, I was listening to like The Cure. I was just listening to everything that my dad like used to put on like mix CDs for me, like anything like The Cure. I was listening to like Blondie, like all it just it's so good. I always go back to that. Like when I want to be in a like a good mood, I'll put that on.
Yeah, I always go back to Third Eye Blind. Like that's probably like my favorite band right now because I've been listening to like I think Hilary Duff recently did a cover of Never Let You Go. I don't know, I was forgetting it for a second. It's just so fucking good. Like I just go back to them a lot because it's like I know all the songs and it's just nostalgic and they're also like happy alt pop songs in my opinion. Like they're
Yeah.
just so easy to drive to and stuff. But I feel like my favorite album right now, which might be surprising, and I'm almost sure you've never heard of it, is Heat Wave by Trapped Under Ice, which is like a super, I don't know why, but it's super hardcore. It's just like I don't know why I was like just in the mood for that. I think like Ricky also like we just both listen to shit in the car, and
Mhm.
this is just like the album is just heavy and like I can just like drive in the car and feel like a fucking badass.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so when I'm not listening to like just like happy Third Eye Blind songs, I'm listening to Trapped Under Ice.
Yeah.
That's how I've been vibing lately.
My two moods. Yeah, so with all of that being said, now is the time to plug your music and social media. So if you have not streamed Kaylee's music, I feel really bad for you and you should be streaming it, especially her recent EP, Here in Your Bedroom. You can find her at Morgue Mommy on like every platform. I didn't even realize you had like I knew that like you were on TikTok, but I was like, oh, I wonder if like she has the same username. But yes, Morgue Mommy on every
No,
platform.
I was surprised it wasn't taken. Yeah.
So anything else you'd like to plug?
Um, I guess not. Like if you're still here, then yeah, like my everything's Morgue Mommy. Um, Here in Your Bedroom came out a while ago, but it's like the last thing I worked on that I like really put my heart into. I have a couple songs with Ricky out, and then yeah, merch is coming in November, December. So that's like very, very soon. And I'm super, super excited about it. So support artists.
Me too. I will be purchasing, and I'm excited to hear Loser when that becomes available on streaming services. Because I love it. Like I was literally listening to the snippet earlier. I'm like, oh my god, like this song is so good. I want it.
Yeah, I kind of just do what I did with Medusa, where I just like drop stuff like on social media, and everyone's like, "Why do you not post it on all platforms? Like, why is it just on social media?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry,
I can't help it.
I'm just like trying to share my music."
But yes, go follow Kaylee, go listen to her music. This has been an episode of Both Sides of the Barricade. You can follow us on Instagram at Both Sides of the Barricade, at BSOTB Pod on Twitter, the acronym and then pod. And you can subscribe to us on YouTube, Both Sides of the Barricade. My Instagram and Twitter are JTaylorLDR. And this episode is available on Spotify, iTunes. You can watch it on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, like, download, rate, comment, all of that. Please leave me a rating. I love reading them. They're so sweet. And thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week with another episode. So, goodbye.